6:23, it's time to take a look at your money. 2025 was certainly a wild ride for stock market investors. After reaching an all-time high in February, the U.S. stock market quickly experienced a sharp pullback. Over the following 2 months, the benchmark S&P 500 fell by 19%. The tech-heavy NASDAQ declined by nearly 24%. But now, financial advisor Mark Rivachevsky is here joining us, and we're talking about how Wall Street rebounded quickly.
It certainly did, but first I want to give a quick shout out to everyone's favorite morning weatherman, Andrew Stutsky. It's his birthday today. If you see him out and about, please wish him a very happy birthday.
Cheers to him. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, all right. Let's get to our topic. So let's recap and give us your thoughts on the stock market from 2025.
2025 was really about the perceived impact of President Trump's tariff and trade disputes with some of our largest trading partners, including China, Canada, Mexico, the European Union. And all those concerns really manifested itself during that 2-month window from, kind of mid-February to, kind of mid-April when the S&P 500 fell by 19%. That tech-heavy NASDAQ that everybody loves the last couple of years, that actually fell by 24% during that 2-month time frame. But look, from the very beginning, early on, Wall Street had quickly assumed kind of a worst-case scenario for all these tariff and trade disputes, that all these disputes would quickly send inflation soaring higher and send the economy into some type of recession. But then we started getting more and more and more economic data that said, inflation, now is about the same level as it is now before the inflations took effect back in February. Consumer spending remains strong, business spending remains strong, corporate earnings are strong, even the economy remains strong, and all of that kind of gave Wall Street kind of like a green light and the confidence to get back into the stock market and start driving those stock prices higher again. For the full year 2025, the S&P 500 gained 16.4%. That tech-heavy NASDAQ gained even more, 20.4% return last year. Even the Dow Jones Industrial Average gained 13% last year.
And as we start a brand new year at the stock market, what do you think are some of those key areas Wall Street will be focused on?
Yeah, there are a number of areas that I think Wall Street is really going to be focused on. First off, obviously, is inflation. Inflation is expected to gradually decline in 2026, but I do think Wall Street is going to be looking for some confirmation of that downward trend in inflation that is expected. Another area, the labor market. Now, the labor market has been gradually weakening in 2025. Last year from January 2025, or since January 2025, the national unemployment rate has edged higher from 4% up to 4.4%. But look, that's still well below the 25-year average rate of 6.4%. But I really think that Wall Street doesn't want to see that unemployment rate start to edge higher towards that 5% level. Another area that we've kind of been keeping track of over the past few months is will companies continue to invest heavily in artificial intelligence, especially, Devin, those big, giant tech firms like your Alphabet, your Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, Tesla. Are they going to be still throwing billions of dollars in artificial intelligence? And finally, in my opinion, one of the bigger areas that Wall Street's really going to be looking at this year is interest rates. I think a lot of people are hoping that the Federal Reserve, becomes a little bit more aggressive in lowering those interest rates. One area of the economy, Devin, that's really, really struggled because of high interest rates is the housing market. So, if the Federal Reserve becomes a little bit more aggressive in lowering interest rates, hopefully that opens up, home buying, home building, home renovations and remodeling. And so if those areas start to open up a little bit, that could provide a nice boost and a nice tailwind to the economy in 2026.
These have all been top of mind
Yep.
and evolving, right, over the time.
Yep, concerns that really kind of manifested itself in 2025 and really are carrying over to 2026 as well.
Yeah, we'll see how AI continues to progress.
Absolutely. That's a big one.
Yeah. Thank you, Mark, so much for being with us, and we'll see you next Monday.
Yep, enjoy your week.
You too. And we'll be right back. It's just about 6:30.